What up, random rockers? Independence Day Resurgence. Well, there's been a lot of negative press with this film, and honestly, like Batman v Superman, if not for that, I probably wouldn't be enjoying this film. On top of the fact it's been a long time since I've seen the original. Or of course, the last time I had it, it was like cable or like on Fox or something. And I didn't have cable, I just had normal channels, and that's when it was on. That's how I seen it, so there's a lot of edits and stuff, so I would have liked to have seen it the way it was done in theatrical release, but never have. So I can't say much on that in terms of the proper experience, but I do agree that the comparisons in this film that are the issue is that there is no sense of urgency. There is a lack of urgency that from what the first film had. To say that there isn't a charisma or a certain sense of energy is kind of BS. It's there. It's just not like as strong of a grip as the original does. The film is, of course, directed once again by Ronald Emmerich. The writer who decided to, one of the producers and writers, Dean Devlin, fun fact, decided that if not for the events of 9/11, he would not have wanted to so strongly make another sequel to this. So in a way, the fact that we had to wait 20 years for this one, but it almost makes sense for them to do that, given on paper, especially on paper with how they decided to handle us upgrading the technology. It's like, if we hadn't done that, then it would have been pointless. But as it turned, and the film's, how do I put this? The only thing that was, you could tell the film is missing Will Smith and his presence, but you also could tell that it doesn't necessarily need it. It may need it to give that extra boost, to put it on the same level as the first, but being close enough, you'd think would be enough to do it well, do it justice, but it doesn't seem that's the case. And Jeff Goldblum and Bill Pullman's are the ones that are actually carrying the movie with what time frame they do have within it, and the actor they had to play the son, who played the now 20-something or 30-something, not sure how old the kid was during the first movie, but it wasn't the same actor. Same goes for, that's another thing. They got Mecca Monroe, known mostly for her work with Gossip Girl, and a film I just decided to stay away from because it wasn't going to live up to Zombieland standards, and that was Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. She was the one badass chick in that one. I would have liked to have, but it just didn't work. It was too much meant for the younger teenage boy audience as opposed to what Zombieland's staying power was. So, as an actress, she's meh, and in this movie, she's meh. Like, you're not really excited to see her get back in the planes at all. But I will say, the one thing this film does have going for it that I wish people would talk about more is the fact that they at least didn't hold up on the graphics and CGI. Just the story, which the story wasn't much of anything for the first one either, but but it's just how it was handled and executed and directed maybe is what made it better. Not to mention Will Smith's own presence. And the kid even tried to do a line from Will Smith in that one. It's like the fourth, which he mentioned in the actor's name is, if I'm trying to find it here, I believe is Jesse Usher. He's not bad. The kid that originally played him in the movie was Ross Bagley. The kid that Mae Whitman was the one who played the first daughter in the original film, and she's actually still around, and she did some movies like Duff or something. And for some reason they couldn't get her to play the part. Or for some reason, I'm hoping it's not because she's not supermodel looking like Monroe is, which I'm not sure if she's related to Marilyn. I doubt it, but though it almost would seem not surprising, but just now there were some characters that just they came back and they gave them a lot more room, like bringing back Brett Spiner to play Dr. Okun. Okun, I think is how they pronounce it, I don't remember. Who we thought died from what had happened with him in the first movie, but he didn't. I didn't understand that. But here's the thing, I actually, despite how I'm going about this, I gotta say that I didn't, despite the lack of urgency, the fact that you can have fun with this movie if you just lower your expectations, even lower than what you probably expected going into this movie. Like, a lot of people really want to like it and they just couldn't. I think sometimes people just need to allow the fan over the critic, and that's how I roll. Maybe that's not a professional way to do it, but I think it's better to, if you do that, I think you'll have more fun with it to start going into it. And then maybe if you want to get more critical, then go see them later, but you'd have to have the money and the budget to do that. I don't. Hence why I don't update as much as I do, guys. But, back with the review. I'm hearing James Vanderbeek was one of the guys who wrote in this one. Let me check this. No, different Vanderbeek. I mean, apparently this guy, he has like one good critic with Zodiac, and he has White House Down and the past two Spider-Man films under his belt. That doesn't help. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, Emmerich is even responsible for why Michael Bay does what he does in his movies. Clearly an influence on that. For better, in cases of The Rock, and for worse, with how he's handled Transformers. That fucking asshole. Better not get the same shit. We probably are going to get the same shit with the fifth one, but I just fucking... I don't know, guys. And I'm sorry this ain't much review, and it feels more like a vlog or a rant, or whatever this is, but that's all I can tell you guys. There's not much else I can say with this. They set this film up for a potential sequel a lot of the times in this film, and I may have to spoil something, but it makes, and I had enough fun with this to where when even though they did kind of make it so obvious, I kind of want this film to be successful enough to where we do get this, and then after that, I don't want to hear anything else from this franchise or this series at all, because I want to see us finally take the fight to them. You know, the aliens themselves, which is what they're setting up to do. And I'm happy to see them do that. I'm happy to at least give that a shot. Even though we're going to get the same cast we're getting in this movie, as long as Goldblum's still involved in the next one, I'll be okay with it. As long as it's not like how... The thing is that the only time you feel like he may have mailed it in is when they were going to search the one ship that they had blown up before the mothership, big-ass mothership, came in. And his scream was just so... You could tell it was phoned in as hell. I was like, oh, God. But he wasn't like the rest of the movie. He did feel like the same character that he was in the other movies, for me. Everyone else, some people... And Goldblum does try to carry this movie for as much as he can while he's in it. And I feel like Bill Pullman does make up for it as best as he can. Because Liam Neeson's not terrible. He tries to be, like, make up for, like, between him and the one guy who's replacing the son, they're trying to make up for Will Smith's lack of in the movie. And I feel like the Patricia Whitmore character in this, the way they're handling her, they're trying to make her out to be what Vivica A. Fox's character was. But speaking of which, I may have to spoil this, but what was the point of bringing her back? Other than maybe to explain that, okay, she apparently finally, ever since the events of that one film, she decided to stop being a stripper and actually decided to, go into nursing and actually made something of herself. And, she saved the one woman with the baby, which was nice, but other than that, it just felt like she died for nothing, other than to just bring some pathetic excuse for a character develop, for not even much of a character development for Dylan, and that's just ridiculous. But Jesse Eisenberg does try to do his best to live up to Will Smith's mantle, as opposed to just Liam Hemsworth, who's mostly just trying to be that, but doing it his own Liam Hemsworthy way. And it's just like, you're not your brother, and he's not much of an actor either. But at least he tries a hell of a lot more than you, Liam. I'm sorry. You don't even deserve that name. At least most of the time, Neeson deserves his Liam name. Man. Except for the last two Taken films. Those were crap. Alright, so overall, guys, I enjoyed this film. It's clearly, it's flawed, like the first one was, and it's pretty well them rehashing it, just with less of a sense of urgency, and not nearly as much of the charisma as that one does, to the extent where you start to notice the messy aspects of the film. But it doesn't take away the fun. Like, it's dumb, fun popcorn, sort of stuff in your popcorn in your face. But compared to, with the the effects in this film are actually done pretty well, pretty damn well. They still, and I think for that it still holds up. It's just everything else involving it with the story. Don't go into it for story. Just go in it to have good dumb fun. Though it will be seemingly dumber than the first one if you have seen it. If you haven't seen it, I think I would highly recommend that you just see it without having seen the first one. But know enough about the first one to at least get you psyched enough for this film to don't psych yourself or overhype yourself, because that's why I think critics are negatively doing what they're doing with this film. I mean, I can see mixed reviews. Just negative, just all around negative, just makes no sense. If I were to be a critic on Rotten Tomatoes, I'd at least give it a fresh. It may not deserve anything higher than that, but it sure as hell wouldn't deserve anything lower than that. It's an average movie. It's an average. I'd give it if I were to do an actual grade. I don't normally do that. I'd say my normal grade will be middle of the road, guys. Just middle of the road. It's maybe a C to a B minus, I would say, when it comes to this film. I might even go as far as a B, but that's because it is kind of a B grade sci-fi kind of movie with just enough popcorn fun. But hell, I'd enjoy this better than what Michael Bay's been doing lately, aside from 13 Hours, of course. So yeah, as long as 13 Hours aside, and it's better than what Transformers gives you. Hell, the effects are better too, as far as I'm concerned. It's nicer, much nicer. I mean, Emmerich doesn't have much. He doesn't have. He has a here and there with his filming discography. I mean, he gave apparently before Independence Day he gave us Stargate, and though the Godzilla film was he can't believe he gave us that one. Other than that, he also did he did Day After Tomorrow. Oh boy, I heard he did Run All Night, but apparently it's not saying that. He did The Patriot, which was nice too, so that makes even more sense for. Yeah, of course. Anyway, but yeah, that's it, guys. Independence Day Resurgence. What did you think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? and what are your thoughts on it. And that's it, guys. And as always, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. And I kind of want to see them finish this. I want to see a retaliation or resistance, I guess, for as a title for third film, I guess, if you're interested in seeing it. But yeah, that's what I think about it. As always, guys, just keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking, and see you guys next. See you guys in the next video, which will be Moon-Shaped Pool by Radiohead. I do not have the physical release. I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold off for deluxe edition in September, but I do have it on iTunes, so I'll just find a way to try to review this an interesting kind of way. And I will also be attempting to review a debut album from a very new band that's in a particular style that isn't usually my forte, but the way they handle it is closer within my forte, to a more Tesseract level of things. If you liked Tesseract stuff, but not nearly as genty and complex, not maybe complex, but not nearly as in the genty kind of way, then I think you'll like this. I think you guys will like it. And of course, a lot of other movies and albums coming out. This summer hasn't been great, guys. That great with movies lately. But there are some that I am looking forward to. A lot of... I don't know if I'll do a video on that. I doubt it. I'll just stick with reviews, I guess, for now. So, yeah, I'm now officially done. Sorry, taking forever. Keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking, as usual. And, so I'll see you guys in the next video.